Now the starting lineup for the Visiting Deacons of St. Paul High School. Starting at guard, senior number 22, Sean Trent. Starting at guard, senior number 42, Josh Lee. Starting at center, sophomore number 14, Robert Holbrook. Starting at forward, sophomore number 32, Seth Paget. Round out the lineup for the Deacons at forward, senior number 44, Jonathan Davis. Deacons are coached by Mr. Rick Thompson, assisted by John Davis, David Gregory, and Richard Boyd. Now, the starting lineup for the Titans of Twin Springs. Starting at guard, sophomore number 14, David Castle. Starting at guard, senior number 33, Wendell Davidson. Starting at center, senior number 45, Dushawn Buchanan. Starting at forward, senior number 44, Daniel Elliott. And rounding out the lineup for the Titans at forward, sophomore number 52, Jenny Demas. The head coach of the Titans is Scotty Vermillion, assisted by Terry Fields, Chris Scott, and Moore.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Game 2 of tonight's game between the visiting St. Paul Deacons and the homestanding Twin Springs Titans. The game will begin. Homestanding Twin Springs Titans. The starting lineups first for Coach Rick Thompson's St. Paul Deacons. Number 14, Robert Holbrook. 22, Sean Trent. 32, Seth Paget. 42, Josh Lee. And 44, Jonathan Davis. For the Titans, 24, Brandon Lawson. 33, Wendell Davidson. 44, Daniel Elliott. 45, Dushawn Buchanan. And 52, Ben Dingus round out the starting lineup for Coach Scotty Vermillion's Twin Springs Titans. And now for the opening tip, which is controlled by Twin Springs. 33, Wendell Davidson controls the ball for the Titans. Gets the ball over to 14, David Castle. Over to 52, Ben Dingus. Long pass back to Davidson. Davidson looks inside, kicks it over on the wing. Back to Dushawn Buchanan, back over to Davidson. Three-pointer on the way for the Titans, no good. Rebound 44, that's Daniel Elliott for the Titans. Gets the ball back to Davidson. Davidson has the ball, kicks it back over to Buchanan. Back over to Castle, over in the corner to Davidson. Three-pointer on the way, it's good. That's Wes Davidson with a big three as the Titans take a 3-0 lead here in the first period. Drive to the bucket, kick back out. Three-pointer on the way for St. Paul, no good. Rebound controlled by Twin Springs, that's 44. Daniel Elliott with the rebound. Dushawn Buchanan, long pass down court, and it's good to Ben Dingus, who takes it in for the layup. That makes the score Twin Springs 5, St. Paul nothing. Deacons have the basketball, it's 32. Paget, shot is up, and no good. 22, Sean Trent with the bucket, hit the top of the backboard, and it's no good. Into the game for the Deacons is 34, Jonathan Kirk. Buchanan gets the ball into 33, Wendell Davidson. Brings the ball across the timeline. Kicks it over to 44, Elliott. Back over to Dingus. Back up high to Davidson. Over to Castle. Back to Davidson. Titans continue to move the ball around on the perimeter. Back over to Castle. Kick over in the corner to Dushawn Buchanan, who has the ball. Kicks it back out high to Davidson. Three-pointer on the way. It's good. Three-pointer by Wendell Davidson. That makes the score. Twin Springs 8, St. Paul nothing. 6:14 remaining here in the first. 22, Sean Trent with the basketball. Kicks it over to 44, Jonathan Davis. Shot is up, no good. Rebound Twin Springs, that's 14. David Castle with the rebound. Gets it over to Buchanan, who brings the ball across the timeline for the Titans. Stops, gets it over to Davidson. Davidson looks inside, kicks it back over to Castle. Kicked inside and knocked away. 44, Jonathan Davis with the basketball. 30-second timeout, St. Paul. So, in a fast-paced first period here with 5:52 remaining in the first, the score is Twin Springs 8, St. Paul nothing. I think Coach Rick Thompson needed to call a timeout and settle his troops down, as the Titans seem to have the offensive side of the ball moving quite well. They're boxing out on the defensive boards, coming down with the rebounds and hitting the outlet passes and coming down and making the shots. So as we resume play here in the first, it'll be 44, Jonathan Davis to inbound, gets the ball into 42, Josh Lee. Lee has the basketball. Gets it across the timeline, kicks it over to 34, that's Kirk. Back over to 32, Paget. In the corner to Lee, back to Paget, back across to Davis. Pass inside, no good, kick back out high. Shot is up, no good. Rebound, Davidson for Twin Springs. Whistle on the play. As he slips down, they call traveling. Turnover, it'll be St. Paul basketball. 42, Lee has the ball and brings it across the timeline and gets it into the court. Kicks it over to 32, Paget. Back over to 34, Kirk. Back to 44. That's Davis with the basketball. Back to Trent. Deacons continue to move the ball around on the perimeter. Shot is up and no good. Rebound, Dushan Vuchin for the Titans. Whistle on the play. Foul is on number 42 for St. Paul. That's Josh Lee. His first, team's first. The Titan basketball on the side. 14, David Castle triggers inbound into Wendell Davidson. And Davidson kicks the ball over to Vuchin. Back to Davidson. Over to Castle. Back over to Ben Dingus. Back across to Vuchin. He drives. Kicks it inside. Shots up and good. It's 44, Daniel Elliott on the bucket on the nice feed from Dushan Vuchin. Makes the score. Twin Springs 10, St. Paul nothing. 4:35 remaining here in the first. Lee has the basketball for the Deacons. Kicks it over to Trent. Back to Trent. Back over to 34, Kirk. Back over to 44, that's Davis. Davis gets the ball back to Paget. Three-pointer on the way, no good. Rebound, Dushan Vuchin for the Titans. Vuchin brings the ball down for Twin Springs. Kicks it over to Wendell Davidson. Brings it back out. Back over to Castle. Over to 44, Elliott. Back to Vuchin, three-pointer on the way, it's good. Dushan Vuchin with the big three, that makes the score. Twin Springs 13, St. Paul nothing, early in the first. Drive, kick back out. They get the ball back to 22, Trent. Back over to 42, Lee. Lee drives, stops, pops, whistle on the play. The foul on the floor. The foul is on 44 for St. Paul. That's Jonathan Davis. That's his first, team second. Into the game for St. Paul. Let's see what number that was for them. Number 50, that's Anthony Bush. So with 3:31 remaining here in the first, the score remains Twin Springs 13, St. Paul nothing. Castle has the basketball. Back over to Davidson. Back to 14, Castle. Over to Dingus. Back to Dushan Vuchin. Shot is up. No good. Rebound controlled by Elliott for Twin Springs. Shot is up and good. 44, Daniel Elliott with the rebound and stick back. That makes the score Twin Springs 15, St. Paul nothing. 42, Josh Lee has a basketball and throws it away. Turnover, it'll be Twin Springs basketball. Into the game for St. Paul is number 10, Daniel Davis. And we have a timeout on the floor. So with 3:03 remaining here in the first, the score is Twin Springs 15, St. Paul nothing. Twin Springs boys basketball on STE is brought to you by the following. That's New People's Bank, Photo Genius Image Consultants, Mountain View Market, M&M Farm Supply, Scott Jewelers, Gate City Ford, State Line Graphics, Weber City Drug Center, Roberts Tire and Recapping, and Doherty Brothers. We'd also like to remind everyone that the Titans games will be replayed in the Nicholsville area on Wednesdays at 7 p.m. and Saturdays at 10 a.m. The Titans have come out blazing here in the first period as they've rushed out to a 15-0 lead over the visiting St. Paul Deacons. So as play resumes here in the first period, it'll be Twin Springs basketball. Dingus gets the ball into Davidson, who gets it across the timeline over to Castle. Looks inside. Whips it over to Ben Dingus. Pass inside. Davidson brings it back out. Kicks it over to Vu Chien. Back over to Castle. Back to Dushan Vu Chien. Over to Davidson. Fakes it, pulls it back. Kicks it back over to Vu Chien. Vu Chien drives. Kicks it back over to Castle. Castle drives back to Vu Chien. Almost loses the handle on the ball, but gets it back. Kicks it inside to Elliott, and good. It's 44. Daniel Elliott with the bucket. Makes the score. Twin Springs 17, St. Paul nothing. Long three-pointer on the way, and it's good. So Sean Trent hits a three-pointer to break the scoring drought for the Deacons. That makes the score Twin Springs 17, St. Paul 3. 2:12 remaining here in the first. Davidson has the basketball. Kicks it over to Castle. Back to Davidson. Over to Elliott. Long lob across to Castle. Back to Davidson. Inside to Dushan Vu Chien. Drop step. Shot is up. No, he passes off. Whistle on the play. 3 seconds. Nice feed to Elliott, but 3-second call on the big man for the Titans. Into the game for Twin Springs is number 34, Brandon Webb. So Josh Lee has the basketball for the Deacons as they trail by 14. 17-13 with 1:51 remaining. Drive, shot is up, no good. Rebound 34, that's Brandon Webb, who just entered the game for the Titans. Dushan Vu Chien has the basketball, kicks it back over to Davidson. Back over to Castle, kicks it inside to Dingus. Back outside, back Castle has the basketball, kicks it over to Vu Chien. Vu Chien drives, shot is up, and good. Dushan Vu Chien hits the runner, and so with 1:28 remaining, the score is Twin Springs 19, St. Paul 3. Lee has the basketball, drives, kicks inside, whistle on the play. The foul is on number 14 for Twin Springs, David Castle. That's his first, team's first. Be Deacon basketball under the Titan basket. Deacons get the ball in, drive, shot is up, no good. Rebound control by Twin Springs. That's 34. Brandon Webb with the rebound. Gets it over to Dushan Vu Chien. Cross court pass to Castle. Back to Vu Chien. Over to Davidson. Kicks the ball inside. Dingus' shot's up and rejected, but there's a whistle on the play. Foul is on number 42. That's Josh Lee. That's his second, team's third. At the line shooting 2 for the Titans is number 52, Ben Dingus. Dingus first is up and good. That makes the score Twin Springs 20, St. Paul 3. Dingus second is on the way. No good. Rebound controlled by Twin Springs. That's 34. Webb with the rebound. Ball controlled by Dingus. Ball stolen away by St. Paul. That's 50. Anthony Bush comes out there with a loose basketball. Long three-pointer on the way. It's good. 22, Sean Trent with the three. Makes the score. Twin Springs 20, St. Paul 6. 43 seconds remaining. Vu Chien has the basketball. Gets it over to Dingus. Back over in the corner to Castle. Castle brings it out. Gets it to Davidson. Titans hold the ball, apparently looking to hold it for one last shot. Back to Castle. Back to Davidson. It's a two-man game right now. And Davidson brings it back out high. 25 seconds remaining here in the first. Kicks it back over to Castle. Back to Davidson. Davidson still has the basketball. 16 seconds remaining. Back over to Castle. Back to Davidson. Dribbles across. Kicks it over to Dushan Vu Chien. Three-pointer on the way. It's good. Dushan Vu Chien with the long three. 4 seconds remaining. Lee has the basketball. Dribbles down. Shot is up. No good. He attempted to pass to the cutter for the layup, but time ran out. So at the end of the first period, the score is Twin Springs 23, St. Paul 6. Once again, we'd like to remind you of our sponsors of Twin Springs Boys Basketball on STE Cablevision. That's New People's Bank, Photogenius Image Consultants, Mountain View Market, M&M Farm Supply, Scott Jewelers, Gate City Ford, State Line Graphics, Weber City Drug Center, Roberts Tire and Recapping, and Doherty Brothers. The Titans have come out red hot here in the first period, hitting from long range, making the good passes and getting the layups, doing great board work, and it shows on the scoreboard as the Titans have jumped out to a huge lead, 23-6 over the visiting St. Paul Deacons. So this play will resume here in the second period. It'll be St. Paul basketball. Davis gets the ball over to Lee, who brings the ball into the front court. Drives down, kicks it inside. Shot is up, rejected. Ben Dingus with the rejection. Gets his own rebound back, kicks it back out high. Lee throws up a long three. No good. Rebound Castle. Dushan Vucien has the basketball for Twin Springs and brings it down. Kicks it over to Castle. Back to Dushan Vucien. Back over to Davidson. Davidson drives. Kicks it back inside to Ben Dingus. Shots up and good. Ben Dingus with the bucket for the Titans. That makes the score. Twin Springs 25, St. Paul 6. Lee has the basketball. Kicks it over to 22, Trent. Trent drives. Shot is up and good. Sean Trent has all 8 points for St. Paul currently. The score is Twin Springs 25, St. Paul 8. Davidson has the ball. Kicks it over to Castle. Back to Dushan Vucien. Back over to Davidson. Let's kick it inside to Dingus, changes his mind, gets it back to Dushan Vucien. Back over to Davidson, three-pointer on the way. No good, rebound Dushan Vucien. Kicks it back out to Castle. Castle drives the middle, kicks it over to Davidson. Davidson drives, stops, pops, it's good. Wendell Davidson with a big bucket, that makes the score. Twin Springs 27, St. Paul 8, three-pointer on the way. No good, in and out. Rebound controlled by 34 for Twin Springs, that's Brandon Webb. Gets the ball over to Davidson. And Davidson gets the ball in the front court, calls the play. Kicks it over to Castle. Down the corner for 34, Webb. Webb kicks it inside. Shot is up. No good. Rebound control by St. Paul. That's 22, Sean Trent with the rebound. Brings the ball down for the Deacons. Kicks the ball over in the corner. Give and go. It's not there. Kicks it back out. Ball stolen. No, it's knocked away by the Titans. Knocked out of bounds. That's 33, Davidson. They knocked the ball out. Into the game for the Titans is number 12, Andy Harris. Remains St. Paul basketball with 6:15 remaining here in the second. Deacons get the ball into 22, Trent. Trent drives, kicks the ball over on the wing. 12, Thompson thinks about it, kicks it back to 22, Trent. Trent gets the ball over in the corner to 12, Thompson. Guarded by Dushan Vucien, no shot there, kicks it inside. Ball knocked away by Twin Springs, but St. Paul gets the ball back. Lee has the basketball for the Deacons. Lee drives. Shot is up. No, he kicks it back outside. Two-pointer is up and good. That's 44. Jonathan Davis with the two-point basket. That makes the score. Twin Springs 27, St. Paul 10, 5:40 remaining. Harris has the basketball. Kicks it over to Vucien. Back to Davidson. Back to Vucien. Pass into Webb. Shot is up. Whistle on the play. Traveling. Turnover. It'll be Twin Springs basketball. With 5 minutes and 30 seconds remaining here in the second period, we have a 30-second timeout called by the Titans. And the score is, once again, Twin Springs 27, St. Paul 10. When play resumes, it'll be St. Paul basketball. 32, Seth Pageant has the ball for the Deacons. Kicks it over to Trent, who drives and shoots, and it's no good. Rebound number 12, that's Andy Harris for the Titans. Looks to push the ball down the floor. Kicks it inside to Dingus. Shot is up and no good. 32 Pageant has the ball. Long three-pointer on the way. No good. Whistle on the play. 12, Ben Thompson with the long three, but we had a whistle. I believe that foul was on number 14, Robert Holbrook. That's his first, team's fourth. Harris has the basketball for the Titans. Harris kicks it over to Elliott. Gets the ball back to Davidson. Davidson drives, kicks it back out to Ben Dingus. Kicks the ball to Dushan Vuchin. Ball is stolen away, but Dingus gets it back. Back to Davidson. Davidson drives the paint. Shot is up and no good. Rebound Ben Dingus and up and in. Rebound 52, Ben Dingus, and sticks the bucket in. That makes the score Twin Springs 29, St. Paul 10. 32, Seth Paget with the basketball. Kicks it over to 14, Holbrook. Holbrook kicks it back to 22, Trent. Trent kicks it inside, ball stolen away. Long pass down the floor to Davidson. Shot is up and good. Wendell Davidson with the layup. That makes the score Twin Springs 31, St. Paul 10. 32 Pageant has the ball and throws it out of bounds. Be Titan basketball. Dingus inbounds to number 12, Andy Harris. Harris brings the ball down for the Titans, guarded by Lee. Kicks the ball over to 44, Elliott. Back to Dushan Vuchin. Shot is up. Whistle on the play. Foul is on number 40, Jonathan Sykes. That's his first, team's fifth. Twin Springs basketball under the Deacon basket as the Titans hold to a 21-point lead, 31-10 with 3:53 remaining here in the second. Titans get the ball into number 12, Andy Harris. Gets it over to Davidson. Shot is on the way. No good. Rebound Dushan Vuchin. Rejected by Lee. Nice block by Sean Lee. Gets the ball back into Sean Trent's hands. Gets it back to Lee. Down to 32. That's Seth Paget. Back over to Lee. Lee drives. Stops. Kicks it back out to Paget. Gets it over to 22 Trent. Gets it over to Lee. Three-pointer on the way. No good. Rebound 45 for Twin Springs, Dushan Vuchin, who looks to push the ball down the floor. The big man gets it into the front court, kicks it over to Davidson. Davidson drives the paint, kicks it over to Elliott. Shot is up, no good. Rebound 22, Sean Trent for St. Paul. Lee has the basketball for the Deacons. Kicks it over to 14, Holbrook. Holbrook kicks it back out to 40, Sykes. Drive, shot is up and good. That's 32, Seth Paget with the bucket. Makes the score Twin Springs 31, St. Paul 12. 2:45 remaining. Harris has the basketball for the Titans. Almost stolen away by Lee. Harris drives the middle. Kicks it over to Dushan Vuchin. Shot is up. No good. Vuchin chips it back in. 33-12. Titans lead. 2:30 remaining. Nice tip in by the big man for Twin Springs. Whistle on the play. Traveling on 32, Seth Paget. It'll be Twin Springs basketball. Into the game for the Titans is number 14, David Castle. And also 34, Brandon Webb. Harris has the ball for the Titans. Kick it over to 44, Elliott. Kicks it inside. Dushan Vuchin shot is up and no good, but there's a whistle on the play. Foul is on number 42, Josh Lee. That's his third, team sixth. At the line shooting two for the Titans is number 45, Dushan Vuchin. Vucin's first is up and no good. Into the game for St. Paul is number 24. That's C.C. Fields. Vucien second is on the way and good. Makes the score Twin Springs 34, St. Paul 12. Trent has the ball. Shot is up. No good. Rebound Twin Springs. It's number 34, Brandon Webb with the rebound. Dushan Vucien has the basketball for the Titans. Big man kicks it over to 14, Castle. Kicks it inside. Shot is up and good. Nice shot by 44, Daniel Elliott for Twin Springs. Makes the score Twin Springs 36, St. Paul 12. 1:44 remaining here in the second. 32, Paget has the basketball. Thought about the three, pulled it back out. Gets the ball back out to 14, Holbrook. Holbrook drives the middle. Shot is up, and no good. Rebound 44 for Twin Springs. That's Daniel Elliott. Long pass down floor. Shot is up, and no good, but rebound for Twin Springs. That's 34. Brandon Webb with the big rebound, but there's a whistle on the play. Foul is on number 40 for St. Paul, Jonathan Sykes. That's his second, team seventh. Into the game for the Titans is number 52, Ben Dingus, and 33, Wendell Davidson. At the line shooting two for the Titans is, shooting 1 + 1 is 34, Brandon Webb. Webb's first is up, and no good. Rebound, Ben Dingus. Shot is up, no good. Rebound, Dushan Vucien, but there's a whistle on the play. Foul is on 45, Dushan Vucien. That's his first, team second. Wipe out the basket. 22, Trent has the basketball for the Deacons. Guarded by 14, David Castle for the Titans. Trent drives, dishes, shots up. No good. Rebound, Dushan Vucien. Brings the ball down for the Titans. Kicks it over to Davidson. Davidson has the basketball. Kicks it in to Dingus. Backdoor dunk. Nice backdoor feed to 45, Dushan Vucien for the dunk. That makes the Titan lead 38-12 with 47 seconds remaining here in the second. 22, Trent has the basketball. Long three on the way. No good. Rebound, Ben Dingus gets the ball over to Dushan Vucien. 35 seconds remaining here in the second. Gets the ball over to Davidson. Over to Castle. Back to Dushan Vucien. Over to 34, Webb. Back to Dingus. Back to Davidson. 21 seconds remaining. The Titans are going to hold for one last shot. Davidson fakes the drive, pulls the ball back out. Fakes again, pulls the ball out. 10 seconds. Drives, kicks it over to Dushan Vucien, who drives the middle. Shot is up. No good. Rebound Trent, long three-pointer at the buzzer. No good. So at the end of a very exciting first half of play here at Twin Springs tonight, the score is the homestanding Twin Springs Titans 38, the visiting St. Paul Deacons 12. Once again, we'd like to remind everyone that Twin Springs boys basketball on STE is brought to you by the following. That's New People's Bank, Photo Genius Image Consultants, Mountain View Market, M&M Farm Supply, Scott Jewelers, Gate City Ford, State Line Graphics, Weber City Drug Center, Roberts Tire and Recapping, and Daugherty Brothers. Stay tuned for our exciting second half of basketball action from Twin Springs High School. Welcome back to the second half of tonight's varsity game between the St. Paul Deacons and Twin Springs Titans. Unofficially, leading scorers at halftime for the Titans, the big man, 45, Dushan Vucien, has 11. And for St. Paul, 22, Sean Trent, has 8. And as we start the second half of play here tonight, it will be Twin Springs basketball, as the Titans hold to a 26-point lead, 38-12, as we start the second half. The Deacons are a little late getting out of their huddle. And for the Titans, it'll be 14 Castle to inbounds. Gets the ball into Davidson. Davidson guarded by Sean Trent. Davidson gets it over to 44 Elliott. Back to Dushan Vuchin. Back over to Davidson. In the corner to Castle. Castle dribbles the ball out. Cross court pass to Dushan Vuchin. Drives the middle. Kicks it back to Castle. Titans are very patient. Ball over to Davidson. Davidson drives the middle. Shot is up and good. That's 33. Wendell Davidson with the drive in the bucket. Makes the score. Twin Springs 40, St. Paul 12. 7:30 remaining here in the third. 14, Holbrook has the basketball. Drives the middle. Shot is up. No good. Too strong. Rebound 52. Ben Dingus for the Titans. Gets the ball over to Dushan Vuchin. Vuchin gets the ball in the front court. Kicks it over to Davidson. Davidson kicks it inside to Dingus. Back outside to Dushan Vuchin. He drives the middle. Back outside to Castle. Castle kicks it back over to Davidson. Davidson stops. Kicks it back over to Dingus. Back outside to Castle. Back over to Davidson. Inside to Dushan Vuchin. Castle has a basketball. Back to Vuchin. Back to Davidson. Drives. Kicks it back out to Castle. Titans very patient. Over to Elliott. Whistle on the play. Foul is on number 44, Jonathan Davis. That's his second, team's first. Be Titan basketball near the Deacon basket. Castle gets the ball in. Shot is up, no good, but there's a whistle on the play. The foul is on number 10, Daniel Davis. That's his first, team second. At the line shooting 2 for the Titans is number 52, Ben Dingus. Dingus' first is up and good. Ben's second one is on the way and also good. That makes the score Twin Springs 42, St. Paul 12. Shot is on the way and good by number 10, Daniel Davis. It's Davis' first bucket. Makes the score Twin Springs 42, St. Paul 14. 6:30 remaining here in the third. Kick the ball into Dushan Vuchin. Back out to Castle. Over to Dingus. Back over to 33 Davidson, who drives the middle. Shot is up and no good. Rebound 22, Sean Trent. Trent gets the ball to Lee. Long pass down court. 44 Davis has the basketball, trying to get it to Lee, and does. Drive to the basket. Shot is up and no good, but there's a whistle on the play. The foul is on 45, Dushan Vuchin. That's his second, team's first. At the line shooting 2 for the Deacons is number 42, Josh Lee. Lee's first is up and good. It's Lee's first points of the game tonight. Makes the score Twin Springs 42, St. Paul 15. Lee's second is up and also good. So with 6:02 remaining here in the third, the score is Twin Springs 42, St. Paul 16. And Davidson has a basketball for the Titans. Kicks it over to Castle. Back over to Ben Dingus. Back over to Davidson. Over to 44 Elliott. Back over to Dushan Vuchin, who drives. Kicks it back outside to Castle. Castle drives. Spins. Shot is up and good. 14 David Castle with the bucket. Makes the score the Titans 44, the Deacons 16. Lee has the basketball in the paint. Kicks it inside. 14 Holbrook has the basketball. Can't shoot. Kicks it back outside. Long three is up and good by 44 for St. Paul. That's Jonathan Davis with the long three. Makes the score Twin Springs 44, St. Paul 19. 5:15 remaining. Whistle on the play. The foul is on number 10, Daniel Davis. That's his second. Team's third. Be Titan basketball underneath the Deacon basket as 14 Castle triggers the inbounds. Gets the ball to Dushan Vuchin. Vuchin gets the ball over to Davidson. Three-pointer on the way. No good. Whistle on the play. Foul is on number 10, Daniel Davis. That's his third, team's fourth. Be Titan basketball. Dushan Vuchin has a basketball for the Titans. Gets it out to Davidson. Back over to Castle. Back to Dingus. Titans continue to swing the ball around on the perimeter. Back to Davidson. Over to Dushan Vuchin. He drives. Whistle on the play. Foul is on 42. Josh Lee, that's his fourth, team's fifth. At the line shooting 2 for the Titans is number 45, Dushan Vuchin. Vuchin's first is on the way and good. Into the game for the Titans is number 34, Brandon Webb, replacing 44, Daniel Elliott. Vuchin's second is on the way and no good. In and out. Rebound by 44, Jonathan Davis for the Deacons. Lee has a basketball, pushes it down floor to Trent. Trent's shot is up, no good. Rebound controlled by no one. Last touched by 42. Lee. It'll be Twin Springs basketball. Vuchin gets the ball into Davidson. Wendell Davidson has a basketball, guarded by Lee. Davidson drives, shot is up and good. Nice layup by Wendell Davidson. That makes the score Twin Springs 47, St. Paul 19. 4:23 left. Nice pass inside. Shot is up. No good. Rebound 45 for Twin Springs. Dushan Vuchin looks down court. Shot is up. No good. 4-on-3 break. Whistle on the play. Foul is on 45. Dushan Vuchin. That's his third. It'll be Deacon basketball. Into the game for Twin Springs is number 44, Daniel Elliott, placing Dushan Vuchin. Lee to trigger the inbounds for the Deacons. Kicks it inside. Back out to number 10, Daniel Davis. Davis gets the ball back to Lee. Loses control of the basketball, gets it back. Lee drives the middle, kicks back out. Whistle on the play. A technical foul has been assessed on St. Paul coach Rick Thompson. That's his first. Timeout, St. Paul. So with 3:55 remaining here in the third period, the score is Twin Springs 47, St. Paul 19. Twin Springs boys basketball on STE is brought to you by the following: New People's Bank, Photo Genius, Image Consultants, Mountain View Market, M&M Farm Supply, Scott Jewelers, Gate City Ford, State Line Graphics, Weber City Drug Center, Roberts Tire and Recapping, and Doherty Brothers. Once again, a technical foul has been called on St. Paul head coach Rick Thompson. At the line shooting for the Titans is number 33, Wendell Davidson. Davidson's first is up and no good. And Davidson's second technical free throw is on the way and no good. So as play resumes, it'll be Twin Springs basketball. Gets the ball into Davidson. And Davidson has the ball, gets it over to Castle. Whistle on the play. Kick basketball. It remains Twin Springs basketball. 3:45 remaining here in the third. Castle gets the ball into Davidson, guarded by Trent. Davidson drives the middle. Shot is up and good. Wendell Davidson with the big bucket. That makes the score. Twin Springs 49, St. Paul 19. Lee has a basketball. Drive. Shot is up. No good. Rebound Lee. Shot is up again. No good. Rebound controlled by Twin Springs is Davidson. There's a scramble for the loose ball. Trent gets it back. Shots up and good. Long three-pointer by Sean Trent. And timeout St. Paul. So with 3:19 remaining, the score is Twin Springs 49, St. Paul 22. Apparently Coach Thompson is going to try to get a small run going here as his Deacons come up with a loose basketball, and Sean Trent cans the three to cut into the Twin Springs lead, but the Titans still hold to a 49-22 lead with 3:19 remaining here in the third period. As we come out of this timeout, it will be Twin Springs basketball. Ben Dingus to inbounds to Wendell Davidson. Davidson brings the ball into the front court for the Titans. Kicks it over to 44, Elliott. Whistle on the play. Traveling. Turnover. It'll be Titan basketball. 22, Sean Trent to inbound to Josh Lee. Lee has the basketball. Ball is stolen away by the Titans, but Lee comes back up with it for the Deacons. Good defensive play by the Titans, but Lee has it, stops, gets the ball over to 14, Holbrook. Holbrook looking to pass it inside. Gets it over to 10, Davis. Davis's shot is up and good. The foul is on 44 for Twin Springs. Daniel Elliott, that's his first, team's third. At the line to shoot one, looking to convert the three-point play, is number 10, Daniel Davis for the Deacons. Davis's shot is on the way, and it's good. Back into the game for the Titans is number 45, Dushan Vucien. Deacons are going to pick the Titans up in a full court press. Davidson has the ball, gets it over to Castle. Back to Davidson. Gets the ball stolen away. Whistle on the play. 22, Sean Trent slipped and lost the ball out of bounds as he almost stole the ball and got it back for the Deacons. Instead, Castle will inbound for the Titans. And Castle gets it into Davidson's hands. 2:40 remaining here in the third. Over to Castle. Castle drives. Back out to Dushan Vucien. Over to Davidson. Davidson drives. Brings it back out. Out high to Castle. Castle almost goes to Dingus. Instead goes back to Davidson. Back to Castle. Whistle on the play. Foul is on number 34, Jonathan Kirk. That's his first, team sixth. At the line shooting 1-1. It's 45, Dushan Vucien for the Titans. Vucien's first is up and good. That makes the score Twin Springs 50, St. Paul 25. Vucien's second is on the way. It's also good. Timeout, Twin Springs with 2:20 remaining here in the third period. And the score is Twin Springs 51, St. Paul 25. The Deacons just can't seem to get an offensive charge going against Twin Springs. They'll run off a spurt of 2 or 3 baskets, but it's going to take more than that to get the Deacons back into this game as the Titan offense appears to be clicking on all cylinders tonight. The Titans are getting balanced scoring from Davidson, Daniel Elliott, Dushan Vuchin, Ben Dingus. They're moving the ball around. A lot of unselfish play. They're finding the open cutters, knocking down the open threes and the short jumpers. It'll be St. Paul basketball as Trent gets the ball to Josh Lee. Lee brings the ball down. Drives the middle. Shot is up. No good. Rebound Dushan Vuchin. Vuchin has the basketball picked up by Lee. Whistle on the play. Traveling. Turnover. It'll be St. Paul basketball. Lee has the basketball for the Deacons. Gets it over to 10, Daniel Davis. 22, Trent has the basketball. Kicks it inside. Lost out of bounds. It remains St. Paul basketball is last touched by Twin Springs. Lee to trigger the inbounds. Ball almost stolen away by Twin Springs. Shot is up and no good. Rebound by Twin Springs. 44, Elliott with the ball. Gets the ball over to Dushan Vuchin. Gets the ball back to Davidson. 1:44 remaining. Castle has the basketball for the Titans. Gets it over to 44, Elliott. Back over to Davidson. Back to Dingus. Over to Dushan Vuchin. Drive, stops. Shot is up. Whistle on the play. The foul is on 34, Jonathan Kirk. That's his second, team 7th. The line shooting for the Titans, 45, Dushan Vuchin shooting 2. First is up and good. Into the game for St. Paul, number 12, Ben Thompson. Vuchin's second free throw is on the way and no good. Rebound controlled by the Deacons. Number 10, Daniel Davis with the rebound. Trent gets the ball to Lee. Lee gets the ball over to Davis. Trent's shot is on the way. No good. Rebound Dushan Vuchin. Leads the break. Kicks it to Davidson. Davidson brings the ball back out. Good move. Kicks the ball over to Dushan Vuchin. Whistle on the play. The foul is on number 14 for Twin Springs, David Castle. That's his second, team's 4th. A little confusion here as officials thought it was a 1-and-1. Trent to inbound the ball to Josh Lee. Substitution for Twin Springs. Substitution for the Titans, 34, Brandon Webb. Replacing 44, Daniel Elliott. Trent inbounds the ball to Lee. Lee drives the middle. Kicks it back out high. Ball back to Lee. Back over to Davis. 53 seconds remaining. Back out to Trent. Trent's shot is up and good. Kisses it off the glass. Sean Trent with the bucket. Makes the score. Twin Springs 52, St. Paul 27. Titans break the press. 38 seconds remaining. Get the ball back to Davidson. He drives the middle. Shot is up. No good. Whistle on the play. Jump ball. Alternate possessions. It'll be St. Paul basketball. Into the game for St. Paul, 32, Seth Paget. Paget has the basketball for the Deacons, guarded by 14, Castle. Whistle on the play. The foul is on number 14, David Castle. That's his 3rd, team's fifth. Deacons get the ball inbounds to Trent. Three-pointer on the way. No good. Whistle on the play. Ball controlled by the Titans, but 45 Dushan Vuchien's foot was on the line, so it'll remain St. Paul basketball. Shot is up and no good. Rebound, Ben Dingus. Gets the ball to Dushan Vuchien. Gets the ball over to Davidson. Back to Vuchien. Vuchien drives the middle. Shot is up. No good. Ball tipped around and controlled by the St. Paul Deacons, and that's the end of the third period with the score, Twin Springs 52, St. Paul 27. Once again, we'd like to remind everyone of our sponsors of Twin Springs boys basketball on STE. That's New People's Bank, Photo Genius, Image Consultants, Mountain View Market, M&M Farm Supply, Scott Jewelers, Gate City Ford, State Line Graphics, Weber City Drug Center, Roberts Tire and Recapping, and Daugherty Brothers. So as we start the fourth period of play here from Twin Springs High School tonight, we find the homestanding Titans leading the visiting St. Paul Deacons 52-27. As we start the fourth period, I think there's a little confusion here. At that last held basketball, it was St. Paul's ball, and now the officials were starting to give it to the Deacons again, but they've corrected themselves. It is Titan basketball. Into the game for the Titans is 22 Jared Stapleton. He gets the ball into 12 Andy Harris. .34 Webb has the basketball. Back to Dushan Vuchien. Over to Stapleton. And Stapleton gets the ball to 12 Harris, who loses the handle on the basketball. We have a jump ball. It'll be on alternating possessions. It'll be Deacon basketball. Pageant has the basketball for the Deacons. Kicks it over to Davis. Davis gets it back out to Thompson. Shot is up and good. The running one-hander is good by Ben Thompson. Makes the score Twin Springs 52, St. Paul 29. Deacons steal the basketball away from the Titans. Davis has the basketball. Gets it over to Holbrook. Shot is up and good. Robert Holbrook with the bucket. Makes the score, Twin Springs 52, St. Paul 31. Timeout, Twin Springs. 30-second timeout by Coach Vermillion, as the Deacons are starting to mount a little mini run here to start the fourth period. But the Titans still hold to a commanding lead of 52-31 with 7:05 remaining here in the fourth. As play resumes here in the fourth, it'll be Twin Springs basketball. Titans get the ball into Davidson. Back to Dushan Vuchien, over to Stapleton. Gets the ball back to Vuchien. Vuchien has a basketball, over to Stapleton. Back to Davidson, a little bit high on the pass. Traveling's been called, turnover. It'll be St. Paul basketball.